The Silent Symphony, Chapter 1. The First Whisper. New Orleans, Louisiana, 1968. The humid air of the French Quarter was a living thing, thick with the scent of jasmine, stale beer, and the distant, mournful wail of a saxophone. 7-year-old Lily Dubois knew these sounds and smells like the back of her hand. Her grandmother, Simone, a woman whose eyes held the deep, shadowed wisdom of generations, ran a small, cluttered antique shop on a quiet side street. It was a place where forgotten treasures whispered their stories from dusty shelves, and where Lily spent her days, a quiet observer in a world of vibrant noise. Lily was a child of quiet wonder. While other children chased balls in the park, Lily preferred to sit in the back of Simone's shop, hidden amongst piles of velvet drapes and mahogany furniture, listening, not just to the street musicians or the chatter of customers, but to the whispers she heard from the objects themselves, a faint melody from an old music box, even when it wasn't wound, a distant echo of laughter from a tarnished silver locket, a profound sense of loss from a faded photograph. Simone understood. She was, in her own way, a keeper of echoes, much like Lily, though Simone's gift manifested more as an uncanny intuition, a profound understanding of the history imbued in every object. She saw the stories without hearing the whispers. Lily, however, heard them, not as clear voices, but as a subtle symphony of resonance, a faint, almost imperceptible hum that emanated from objects that had witnessed profound emotions: joy, sorrow, betrayal, love. Each left a unique, lingering vibration. Lily had always kept her whispers a secret. Her mother, a pragmatic woman who worked long hours as a seamstress, would have dismissed it as an overactive imagination. But Simone, with her knowing smile and her quiet acceptance, never questioned Lily's fascination with the souls of old things. One sweltering afternoon, a stern, impeccably dressed woman entered the shop. Mrs. Beaumont, the matriarch of an old, wealthy New Orleans family, was known for her formidable presence and her obsession with preserving her family's pristine, if somewhat sterile, reputation. She carried a small, intricately carved wooden chest, dark with age. Its surface was smooth, almost polished from handling, but its ornate silver clasp was broken, hanging limply. Simone, Mrs. Beaumont's voice was sharp, cutting through the lazy hum of the shop. "I need you to appraise this. It belonged to my great-aunt, Genevieve. She was difficult, a recluse. After her passing, we found this in her study. We believe it contains her private journals. We simply wish to confirm it's nothing unsavory. For the family name." Lily, hidden behind a display of antique porcelain dolls, felt an immediate, strong resonance from the chest. It wasn't a whisper. Not yet. It was a deep, resonant thrum, a low, mournful cello note in her silent symphony. It was unlike anything she had felt before. A profound, almost overwhelming sorrow. And something else. A frantic, desperate urgency. Simone took the box, her fingers tracing the broken clasp. She exchanged a knowing glance with Mrs. Beaumont. A locked box, even after all these years, Simone mused, her voice soft. Some secrets choose to remain so. Mrs. Beaumont snorted. Genevieve had many secrets, mostly scandalous. We simply want to ensure nothing is revealed that could tarnish our family standing. If it contains anything unsuitable, we will simply dispose of it, unopened, if necessary. Lily's heart pounded. Unopened. The thrum from the box intensified, becoming a frantic, pleading crescendo. She heard it then, clearer than usual. a faint, almost desperate cry. It wasn't words, but a pure, unadulterated emotional plea. Don't let them. Simone, ever perceptive, seemed to catch Lily's unusual stillness, a tiny tremor in the air around her. She looked at the box, then at Mrs. Beaumont, a subtle shift in her expression. This box, it feels unwell, Mrs. Beaumont. It has a melancholic aura. To open it without proper care, without understanding its history, would be to disturb its peace. I would advise against it, and certainly against discarding it without due reverence. Mrs. Beaumont scoffed. Nonsense, Simone. It's just an old box. Appraise it, quickly. Simone nodded slowly, her eyes meeting Lily's for a fleeting moment. A silent communication passed between them. I will consider it, Mrs. Beaumont. Leave it with me. I will need time to commune with its spirit. Mrs. Beaumont, impatient, left the box and departed. Lily emerged from her hiding place, her small hand reaching for the chest. The thrum was still there, the frantic pleading. Grandmère, Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. The box, it's crying. Simone nodded, her eyes sad. I know, ma petite. Some things carry a great weight, a great sadness, and a great truth. This one sings a very deep sorrow. She looked at Lily, her gaze unwavering. And you, ma petite, you hear the deepest notes, don't you? Chapter 2. The Silent Keeper. The wooden chest sat on Simone's workbench, a dark, silent sentinel amidst a jumble of forgotten clocks and tarnished silver. For days, Lily circled it, drawn by the persistent, mournful thrum. It was like a constant, low drone in her mind, a symphony of unshed tears. She touched its smooth surface, felt the faint tremor of its sorrow beneath her fingertips. Simone watched her, her silence a profound understanding. She knew Lily's gift was growing, becoming more defined. It wasn't just faint echoes anymore. It was a powerful emotional resonance, a silent symphony that only Lily could truly hear. It holds a secret, Grandmère, Lily whispered one evening, her face pressed against the cool wood. A very big one, and it's afraid. Afraid of what? Ma petite? Simone asked, her voice soft as she polished a brass lamp. Afraid of being lost or misunderstood. Lily paused, straining to interpret the complex emotional chords. Afraid of being unheard. Simone hummed. Some voices are meant to be heard, even if they must wait a long time. Days turned into a week. Mrs. Beaumont called repeatedly, demanding an appraisal, threatening to retrieve the chest and simply destroy it if Simone couldn't move faster. Simone, however, continued to prevaricate, citing the box's difficult aura and the need for delicate handling. She was buying time, for Lily, and for the secret the box held. Lily spent hours with the chest. She would close her eyes, focusing on the thrum, letting the waves of emotion wash over her. She began to discern nuances, a longing, a profound, consuming love, and a sense of desperate, almost frantic hope. It was like listening to a piece of music she couldn't quite place, but whose emotional core she deeply understood. One afternoon, as she pressed her ear against the box, she heard it. Not words, but a clear, distinct image in her mind. A fleeting vision, like a silent film reel. A young woman with bright, intelligent eyes and a cascade of fiery red hair, sitting at a desk, writing furiously in a journal. The same type of journal Mrs. Beaumont had mentioned, The young woman's face was alight with passion, then clouded with sorrow, then brightened again with a secret smile. She was writing, always writing, and then a brief, terrifying glimpse of a small, wrapped bundle in her arms, her face filled with both profound love and a desperate, agonizing fear. Then the image blurred, dissolved, leaving only the relentless thrum of sorrow and urgency. Lily gasped, pulling back. "Grandmère, I saw her. The woman. She's writing. And there's a baby." Simone dropped the lamp she was polishing. It clattered to the floor. Forgotten. Her eyes were wide, fixed on Lily. "A baby, ma petite? Are you certain?" "Yes, a tiny one. She was so sad, Grandmère. But she loved it so much." Lily's voice trembled with the resonance of the vision. Simone walked slowly to the workbench, her gaze never leaving the wooden chest. She picked up a small, ornate key from a hook on the wall, one she used for antique music boxes. It was a master key for many old locks. She tried it on the broken clasp. It wouldn't turn. The clasp was truly broken. "It seems," Simone murmured, "that this key is not the one for this lock." "But the secret has to get out," Lily insisted, her small hands clutching the box. "She wants it to. She's trying to tell me." Simone sat down, pulling Lily onto her lap, the wooden chest resting beside them. "Some secrets are like rivers, ma petite. They find their own way, and some secrets, they are protected by an invisible lock, a lock of profound meaning. Only the right key, found at the right time, will open it. And sometimes, the key is not made of metal. Sometimes, it is made of truth." Lily didn't understand what a key made of truth meant, but she understood the urgency. The vision of the red-haired woman and the baby had brought a new, almost frantic intensity to the box's silent symphony. It was no longer just sorrow. It was a desperate plea for understanding, for revelation. A voice that had been silenced for too long was trying, with all its ethereal might, to be heard. And Lily, the silent keeper of echoes, was its only listener. Chapter 3. The Unraveling Thread. Days turned into weeks. Mrs. Beaumont's calls became increasingly aggressive. She set an ultimatum. If Simone didn't appraise the box and confirm its contents by the end of the month, she would send men to retrieve it and destroy it. The pressure was immense. The thrumming from the box was now a constant presence in Lily's mind, a complex, urgent melody of despair, longing, and a fiercely protective love. The visions became more frequent, more detailed. She saw flashes of the red-haired woman, Genevieve, secretly meeting a man in a hidden courtyard, their hands clasped, their faces etched with a shared, desperate love. She saw a tiny crib, draped in delicate lace. She saw whispered arguments, hushed tears, and always the frantic writing in the journal. The name Auguste echoed in the visions, a name filled with tenderness and sorrow. Lily began to tell Simone everything she saw, everything she felt from the box. Simone listened, her eyes thoughtful, occasionally asking probing questions. "The courtyard, ma petite? Describe it. Are there specific flowers? A fountain?" Lily described the details, the specific scent of night-blooming jasmine, the sound of water trickling from a worn stone gargoyle. Simone nodded slowly, her expression growing graver with each detail. "Genevieve Beaumont," Simone murmured one afternoon, as Lily described a particularly vivid vision of the woman arguing with a stern older man, clearly Mrs. Beaumont's father. She was a very private woman, kept herself to herself, never married, died a recluse, they say. But she loved him, Grandmere, Lily insisted, the resonance of that love overwhelming her. And she loved the baby, Simone sighed. Some families, ma petite, prefer to bury their truths rather than face them, especially if those truths do not fit neatly into their tapestry of respectability. Simone began her own discreet investigation. She spent hours in the local archives, sifting through old city records, birth certificates, marriage licenses, death notices. She visited the small, crumbling cemeteries of the old Creole families, searching for specific names, specific dates. She asked hushed questions of other antique dealers, of old neighborhood residents, weaving a tapestry of whispers and forgotten details. What she found was a portrait of a hidden life. Genevieve Beaumont, born into one of New Orleans' most prominent and conservative families, had indeed lived a reclusive life after her early 20s. But there were faint records of a brief, intense liaison with a young, impoverished musician named Auguste Chevalier. He was a brilliant violinist, a free spirit, but utterly unsuitable for a Beaumont daughter in the eyes of her family. He vanished from New Orleans records shortly after Genevieve became a recluse. There was no marriage record, no public acknowledgement of their relationship. And then, the most crucial discovery, a tiny, almost illegible entry in an old church's baptismal register, hidden deep within the archives, discreetly recorded. A baby girl, born to Genevieve Beaumont. The father listed as unknown. The date of birth corresponded with the period of Auguste Chevalier's sudden disappearance and Genevieve's subsequent reclusion. The baby's name, Celeste. But there was no follow-up record of Celeste, no death certificate, no adoption papers, no public record of her existence beyond that single obscure baptismal entry. It was as if she had simply vanished. Simone returned to the shop, her face grim. "The key made of truth, ma petite," she told Lily, her voice heavy. "It seems it's a story the Beaumonts wanted to silence. A love, a child, a life erased from their history." The thrumming from the box was now almost deafening to Lily. It vibrated with a desperate plea for recognition, for Celeste to be acknowledged. Genevieve's desperate, unspoken chronicle was clamoring to be heard. "We have to open it, Grandmère," Lily pleaded, her eyes filled with the urgency of the box's silent symphony. "We have to tell her story." Simone nodded slowly. "But how, ma petite? The lock is broken, and the outside forces, Mrs. Beaumont will destroy it. She will destroy this truth, just as her family destroyed Genevieve's public life. We need a different kind of key, not a physical one, not just a truth. We need a way to force the lock open without damaging the mechanism. A way to make her see, to make her hear." She looked at Lily, a flicker of something new in her eyes. "And perhaps, ma petite, you are the only one who can find that key." Chapter 4. The Unseen Force. The ultimatum from Mrs. Beaumont weighed heavily. 3 days. That was all the time they had before she sent her lawyers to claim the box and presumably destroy it. A wooden chest on the workbench hummed with an almost unbearable intensity, its silent symphony now a chaotic chorus of desperation. Lily, driven by the urgency of the box's pleas, spent every waking moment with it. She tried everything. She held it, she whispered to it. She even tried to draw the images she saw, hoping to find a pattern, a logical key. But the lock remained stubbornly closed. Simone, meanwhile, had exhausted all conventional avenues. Legal battles with the Beaumonts were impossible. They had endless resources and an ironclad reputation. Physically forcing the box open would likely destroy the very germals they sought to reveal. They needed a different approach, an unconventional one. One evening, as the New Orleans night wrapped the city in its humid embrace, Lily was clutching the box, her eyes closed, trying to discern the intricate patterns of its silent symphony. The vision of Genevieve returned. Clearer than ever, she saw Genevieve in her study, her red hair blazing, writing furiously. But this time, Lily noticed a detail she hadn't before. Genevieve would pause, her pen hovering over the page, her gaze fixed on something in the room, something small, intimate, hidden from view. Then the image shifted. Genevieve was holding a small, delicate porcelain doll. Its dress was made of intricate lace, its hair a fiery red, exactly like Genevieve's. She held it close, murmuring to it. Her face filled with an almost painful tenderness. It was a doll that seemed to symbolize her secret child, Celeste, her unspoken longing. The doll then appeared, hidden within a wall cavity, secreted away behind a loose brick. Lily gasped, her eyes flying open. "Grandmère, the doll." "The porcelain doll! It's hidden in the wall." Simone, who had been sitting quietly knitting, looked up, her needles still. "Where, ma petite?" "In the vision, where was it?" "In her study," Lily insisted. "Hidden in a wall, behind a brick." She then described the small, almost imperceptible detail of the loose brick, the faint scratch marks around it. Simone's eyes widened. Genevieve's study, the old Beaumont manor. That house is practically a museum now, preserved, pristine. But if a brick was loosened, that would be a very well-kept secret indeed. A bold, audacious idea formed in Simone's mind. A plan that hinged entirely on Lily's unique gift. They needed to find that doll. They needed to find the truth, not in the box, but in its echo. The next morning, Simone used her extensive network within the antique and historical preservation community of New Orleans. She fabricated a story about a crucial, missing piece of Genevieve's personal collection, a unique, hand-painted porcelain doll that she believed was the key to appraising the entire estate's historical value for future auction. She painted a vivid picture of the doll's rarity and its potential worth, playing on the Beaumont family's pride and avarice. Mrs. Beaumont, though suspicious, was intrigued by the prospect of a potentially valuable addition to her great-aunt's collection, and grudgingly granted Simone and Lily access to Genevieve's untouched study at Beaumont Manor. The manor was grand, cold, and silent, a mausoleum of inherited wealth. Genevieve's study was exactly as Lily had seen it in her visions, dusty, filled with heavy, dark furniture, and a pervasive sense of elegant melancholy. Lily immediately felt the strong resonance of Genevieve's presence, the phantom scent of old paper, and the faint, melancholic hum of the hidden sorrows that still lingered in the room. It was here that Genevieve had poured out her heart, and it was here that she had hidden her most precious secret. Lily walked straight to the wall she had seen in her visions. Her fingers traced the cold stone, the rough mortar. Then she felt it, a barely perceptible difference in texture, a small, almost invisible crack around one brick, the thrum from the box which Simone had brought along. Sitting innocuously in her bag, intensified to a frantic, excited crescendo. "Here, Grandmère," Lily whispered, her heart pounding. "It's here." Simone, using a small specialized tool, carefully pried the brick loose. Behind it, in a small dusty cavity, they found it. A tiny, exquisitely crafted porcelain doll. Its dress was indeed made of intricate lace, and its hair was a cascade of fiery red, just as Lily had seen. As Lily gently lifted the doll from its hiding place, she felt an overwhelming sense of profound relief emanate from the wooden chest still in Simone's bag. The frantic thrumming subsided, replaced by a soft, mournful, yet profoundly peaceful hum. The silent symphony had finally found its resolution. And then, Lily noticed something else. Tucked tightly into the hollow body of the porcelain doll, folded precisely, was a single, tiny, yellowed piece of parchment. It was not a journal page. It was a key. A delicate, ornate brass key, almost swallowed by the doll's small form. A key that had clearly been forged in the 19th century. A key that looked precisely like the key needed to open the wooden chest's broken clasp, if only the clasp itself wasn't damaged. But there was something else etched on its surface, almost invisible without magnification. A single, stylized letter. C. Celeste. The lock on the box might be broken, but the true key had been found. Not a metal key, but a key made of truth. A key that represented the secret life of Genevieve and her lost child. Chapter 5. The Voice from the Past. Back in Simone's shop, the wooden chest sat on the workbench, the porcelain doll placed reverently beside it. The delicate brass key, with its faint C etching, lay between them. Lily now understood. The broken clasp on the chest was a red herring. It was never about a physical lock. It was about a hidden truth. The key was a symbol, a testament to a life Genevieve had fought to protect. But the chest still wouldn't open. The clasp was truly broken. The profound hum emanating from the box now, however, was different. It was no longer frantic. It was a deep, resonating hum of gratitude and a powerful, urgent desire to be heard. The key had been found. The story was ready to unfold. Simone, her eyes shining with understanding, gently picked up the doll. The doll was the true lock, ma petite, she murmured. And the key, it wasn't for the broken clasp. It was a message, a symbol that the time was right, that someone understood, that the truth was finally ready to be revealed. She looked at Lily, a profound realization dawning on her face. The box knows, ma petite. It knows its keeper has heard its symphony. It has shown us its most precious secret. Now we must find a way to open it gently, not by force, but by understanding. Simone, with her lifetime of experience in handling fragile artifacts, carefully examined the chest. She noticed a faint seam along the bottom, almost invisible, where the wood was slightly discolored. It wasn't a crack, but a cleverly disguised joint, a hidden compartment secured by an internal mechanism, not the visible clasp. A secret within a secret. Genevieve, a woman of deep privacy, had wanted her journals protected even from her own family, to be found only by someone who truly sought the truth. Using specialized tools and her expert knowledge of antique furniture construction, Simone worked slowly, meticulously. With a soft click, the hidden panel on the underside of the box slid open. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, were several leather-bound journals. Not one, but many. Their pages were filled with elegant, looping script. Genevieve's chronicle, her life, her love, her sorrow, and her unspoken child. The hum from the box, now open, resonated with an almost unbearable beauty. It was a powerful, triumphant crescendo, a symphony of release. Simone began to read aloud, her voice steady, reverent, translating Genevieve's intricate script from archaic French into English for Lily. The journals told the heart-wrenching story of Genevieve Beaumont's clandestine love affair with Auguste Chevalier, the brilliant, passionate violinist. Their love was profound, defiant, and ultimately doomed by the rigid social conventions of 19th century New Orleans and the formidable, unyielding will of the Beaumont patriarch. Genevieve chronicled their secret meetings, their shared dreams of a life free from societal constraints. She wrote of the joy, the fear, and then the devastating blow, her pregnancy. Her family, upon discovering her condition, had brutally separated her from August, sending him away, threatening his life if he ever returned. They confined Genevieve to the manor, isolated, disgraced. And then the most painful truth, the birth of her daughter, Celeste. Genevieve wrote of her profound, consuming love for her baby and the desperate, agonizing choice she was forced to make. Her family, obsessed with preserving their reputation, decreed that Celeste must be given up, her existence erased from their lineage. They orchestrated a secret adoption through a discreet network of nuns. Genevieve never saw her daughter again after she was a few weeks old. The porcelain doll with the small key hidden inside was her only solace, a tangible link to the child she lost. It was a symbol of her enduring love and her desperate hope that one day, somehow, her daughter would know she was loved, not abandoned. The key with the C was meant for Celeste, a message of a mother's unending love, should Celeste ever find it. Genevieve's journals detailed her decades of reclusion, her life a hollow shell filled with an unyielding sorrow, sustained only by the memory of her brief love and the enduring hope that Celeste had found happiness. She continued to write, pouring her unspoken heart onto the pages, leaving behind her true legacy, a chronicle of love and loss, hidden for the one who would truly seek it. The broken clasp on the box was, in fact, a deliberate act by Genevieve herself, a final protective measure. She broke the easily accessible lock, intending for the box to appear permanently sealed, ensuring that only a true seeker, one capable of discerning deeper truths, a keeper of echoes like Lily, would ever find the hidden compartment and unleash her story. She intended it to wait for the right hands, the right time. As Simone finished reading, the shop was silent, except for the faint hum from the now open box, a soft, ethereal reverberation of Genevieve's fulfilled wish. Lily's eyes were wide, filled with tears, overwhelmed by the raw power of the story, the profound sadness, and the fierce, enduring love. "Celeste," Lily whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Did she ever know?" Simone looked at the journal, then at Lily. "That, ma petite, is the next chapter, the next note in this symphony, and perhaps the one you are destined to play." Chapter 6. The Resonant Chord. The revelation of Genevieve's story and the existence of Celeste ignited a new, profound purpose in Lily. The silent symphony of the box had led them to a hidden truth, but the melody was unfinished. There was still a lost child, a life lived in the shadow of a secret. Mrs. Beaumont's family, after initial fury at Simone for not simply handing over the box, retreated when Simone, armed with the evidence of Genevieve's true history, threatened to expose the scandal publicly. The Beaumonts, obsessed with their reputation, chose silence over confrontation. They allowed Simone to keep the journals and the doll, a tacit acknowledgement of the truth, buried once more in the shadows, but now known to Lily and Simone. Lily, now a teenager, developed her gift. The whispers became clearer, more directed. She could now consciously focus on specific resonances, following the faint threads of emotion and memory that objects left behind. She spent years researching, driven by an unshakable compulsion to find Celeste. She scoured adoption records, church archives, and genealogical databases, following every faint lead, every whisper that resonated with the profound love she felt from Genevieve's journals. Simone, her health slowly declining, encouraged Lily every step of the way. She taught Lily the subtle art of historical research, the importance of patience, and the profound power of empathy in uncovering hidden truths. They were no longer just antique dealers. They were keepers of forgotten narratives, detectives of the human heart. The trail of Celeste was faint, almost non-existent. The adoption had been meticulously clandestine, but Lily's unique ability, combined with her tenacious research, slowly, painstakingly, began to uncover a path. She found subtle connections, names of nuns from the discreet network, fate records of children fostered in rural Louisiana parishes, far from the prying eyes of New Orleans society. She followed the whispers of resilience, of adaptation, of quiet survival. Years passed. Lily became an adult, a historian specializing in hidden family narratives, her unique gift a secret asset in her research. The wooden chest and Genevieve's journals became her most cherished artifacts, reminders of her life's true calling. In her late 50s, Lily, now a respected academic, stumbled upon a breakthrough, an old, obscure land deed in a dusty parish archive, signed by a woman named Celeste Dubois. The name resonated with an almost unbearable familiarity. Dubois, her own family name. Lily felt a surge of adrenaline. She traced the lineage. Celeste Dubois, born in the late 19th century, was listed as an orphan, adopted by a kind, childless couple in rural Louisiana. But the dates aligned. The name Dubois, Lily knew, was a common French Creole name in that region. A coincidence? Or fate? The resonance from Genevieve's journals, now almost a constant, comforting presence in her study, intensified. It was a profound chord of recognition, of joyous discovery, a triumphant melody in her silent symphony. Lily followed the Dubois family line. She found descendants, and finally she found a frail, 90-year-old woman named Odette Dubois, living in a small, weathered cottage deep in the Louisiana bayou. Odette was Celeste Dubois' granddaughter. Lily traveled to the bayou, her heart pounding with anticipation. She sat with Odette on her porch, the air thick with the scent of cypress and the buzz of cicadas. Lily didn't mention the visions, the echoes, or the specific details from Genevieve's journals. She spoke of her historical research, her fascination with old family stories, her interest in the Dubois lineage. Odette, a woman with kind eyes and hands gnarled by a lifetime of work, slowly began to tell her family's story. She spoke of her grandmother, Celeste, a woman of quiet strength, known for her love of gardening and her profound, almost ethereal beauty. Celeste had died many years ago, but Odette remembered her vividly. "My grandmother Celeste," Odette said, her voice soft. "She was always a bit different. She said she felt a longing for something she couldn't name, a deep sense of a lost connection. She kept a small wooden doll, she said, that felt like a piece of her soul. A doll with red hair, just like hers." Lily's breath caught in her throat. The porcelain doll, the red hair, the key with the C. "And she always said," Odette continued, her eyes distant, "that she felt a powerful, unspoken love, as if someone, somewhere, had loved her profoundly, even though she never knew her real parents. She said it was like a silent song, always playing in her heart." Lily, tears streaming down her face, finally spoke. "It was real, Odette. That love, it was real. Her mother loved her more than life itself. She left her a message, a story. And then, Lily drawing upon a lifetime of understanding and a profound sense of connection, shared Genevieve's chronicle, the story of a secret love, a stolen child, a lifetime of sorrow, and an enduring, desperate hope that her daughter would know she was loved. She showed Odette the journals, the faded script, the heartbreaking words. She told her about the porcelain doll, about the key, about the sea for Celeste. Odette listened, her face transforming from quiet contemplation to profound understanding, then to overwhelming emotion. Tears streamed down her face. My grandmother, she knew. She felt it. All her life. The connection was undeniable. Celeste Dubois was Genevieve Beaumont's lost daughter. The silent symphony had finally found its complete, resonant chord. Lily had not just found a name. She had reunited a mother and daughter across generations, connected a hidden truth to a living legacy. The wooden chest, once filled with frantic whispers, now vibrated with a profound, joyous peace, the silent symphony. Begun with a mournful thrum, had culminated in a triumphant, soaring melody of rediscovered love and enduring connection. Lily, the quiet child who heard whispers, had become the voice that brought a lost song home. And in doing so, she found her own profound fulfillment, a life dedicated to ensuring no story, no love, no echo would ever be silenced again. The whispers had become a chorus, and she its conductor.